morning, good afternoon, and good evening to you. The good level of the show. Pepper today. Hope you're doing grand as well in your world. Hi there. Welcome to another episode of How to Play Like the one and only Mr. John Frusciante. Today I will be teaching you Untitled 2 off this album in its entirety. Because it's awesome and it's just random and it's just full of cool. It's full of cool little bits and pieces, and it's strenuous on your left hand, and we'll get to that in a bit. So, Untitled number 2 sounds to me like it's recorded on a nylon string acoustic. Well, the main part, the acoustic part, it sounds like a nylon string. My nylon string, well, I don't have a nylon string, it's my sister's nylon string, but it's missing strings at this point in time, so I can't do it on a nylon string. So I'm going to do it on my steel string acoustic today. I'm also going to talk later on, after I've taught the main part of it, I'm going to talk about the backwards guitar and how to kind of emulate that if you've got a looper pedal. You can only emulate the beginning though, the bit over. You can only do backwards guitar over that bit because the song changes key quite randomly throughout, so it's quite hard unless you've got one of those loopers where you've got like individual kind of recording parts. You can kind of like trigger individual keys, but if you just got a looper pedal, bog standard looper pedal, then I'll show you how to kind of like, you know, to put a backwards guitar part over that intro bit. So yeah, without further ado, let's get into Untitled number 2, because this is one of my favourite Untitles, and I've got quite a few Untitles planned. I might even teach another one at the end of this one. I don't know yet. At this point in time, it's just Untitled number 2, but I might get carried away and do Untitled number whatever at the end, just for the hell of it. So, yeah, anyway, let's get into Untitled number 2. Oh! Okie dokie, so the first part of Untitled number 2, you're playing with your fingers. So, the plectrum comes in just after this kind of intro part. But the first part, you're just literally playing with your fingers. Now, what I do is I normally tend to hide the plectrum away in my middle finger on my right hand, and then when I need it, just bring it back out. But if not, put your plectrum on your knee, put it in your scratch plate if you're playing electric guitar. It doesn't have to play it on acoustic. I just thought I would teach you on acoustic because, you know, originally John recorded on acoustic. Anyway, so without further ado, it's all to do with fingers, and this comes down to that kind of 2-note thing that John's kind of renowned for. It became kind of like part of his kind of a massive part of his style, so to say. So first chord is this. So we've got a first finger on the 10th fret on the D string, and your little finger wants to be on the 12th fret on the high E, and you play your D string with your thumb, and you play your high E with your first finger, index finger. So that's the first shape. Next shape is we're going to move this up a string. So your 10th fret D now becomes 10th fret A, and your 12th fret high E now becomes 12th fret B. So from there to there. And again, it's same thing again. Thumb on the low string, index finger on the high string. And you can just hear it, it's there straight away. So that's the first two. Next chord is we move this shape over. So your first finger wants to slide over to the 12th fret on your A string. And then your little finger, or your ring finger, sorry, depends on whichever feels more comfortable for you. I normally use my little finger. Wants to be on the 13th fret B string. So 10th fret D to start, then 12th fret high E, 10th fret A, and then 12th fret B, and then 12th fret A, and 13th fret B. And then we go up to, where are we, 8th fret on the A string, and then we go to the 10th fret on the B string. So, let me try and get those fingers out of the way. So, the rhythm goes like this. So I'll try that really, really slow. So it's really important from this one to slide into the next, into that one. So that's the intro part. So that's just that bit. Then once you got to that bit, you go, well, you can do this two different ways. If you can't get your thumb over the top, you want to be doing it like this. If you can get your thumb over the top, which is you're gonna have to do at some point in this kind of song, because you need your thumb on top. But this is the next chord. So you can, if you play it with your thumb, you want your thumb on your 8th fret on your low E. First finger wants to be on the 8th fret on the B, and then 9th fret on the G. And you play your low E and your B strings together. So they play together. And then you play your 9th fret. And if you can't get your thumb over the top, you want to be using your first finger on the 8th fret and same fingers for the bottom bit. But that is a bit trickier to get to. It can be a bit kind of slow and sluggish if you kind of like, you know, if you're there, your thumb's right there to fret straight away, so to say. But you know, there's no reason that's not, you know, not the way he did it. So yeah, so far the whole thing's this. One more time, really, really slow. Okay, so that's that bit so far, and then the next bit is this. And it's just really nice. So what we're doing now is we're coming down to an A minor chord, kind of, so to say. So again, if you can't get your thumb over the top, just substitute my thumb for your first finger. Don't worry about it too much if you can't get your thumb over the top. But it is kind of, the thumb over the top is really important to play in the style of John. So just bear that in mind for for the future. Kind of like, if you can't quite do it yet, keep at it. It will come. It just takes a bit of time. So like I said, substitute my thumb for your first finger if you can't do this. So next chord is this. So it's thumb on the 5th fret on the low E, and then my first finger, or it'd be those two if I was doing it like that, is on the 5th fret on the G and the B. And so you go E, G, B, and it's quite fast. Da-da-da, da-da-da. It's like a nice roll kind of thing. So and then what you do is you go to a G, excuse me, you go to a G, which is you're moving up here, thumb on the 3rd fret on the low E, and then your middle finger wants to be on the 4th fret on your G, and then your first finger wants to be on the 3rd fret on your B. And then the next chord is either your thumb or your first finger on the 1st fret on the low E, and then you play your 3rd fret on a high E, and you play them together. So again, it's, and then you finish up on this, which is first finger on the 3rd fret on the A, and then your little finger or your ring finger on the 5th fret on the B. So that whole thing is 5th fret, 3rd fret, and then together on the 1st fret and the 3rd fret, and then ending up on there. So the whole thing all together, really, really slow, is this. I'll try and do it well, I'll try and keep my fingers out of the way as much as possible and just try not to hide what I'm doing. So whole thing really, really slow. And again, all with your fingers at this point in time, plectrum not being used. And one more time, I'll try it even slower. Okie dokie, so that's the whole intro part of Untitled number 2, and that's the kind of part you hear in when John came back to the band in like 98, 99, 2000, when they did the Yertle trilogy, that's the part you would hear. The next part, however, it gets a little bit more involved and it becomes a bit more of a finger exercise, especially part 3, I'll call it. Well, technically it's part 4 actually. So let's move on to part 2 of Untitled number 2. Okay, so after you want to be going to this chord, which is a well, you call it an E flat major or a D sharp major. Same chord, different name. So it's first finger on the 6th fret on the A, and then I use my ring finger to bar the D, G, and B strings on the 8th fret. But this will change in a minute. So this is your first chord. So after you go, and then what we do is we slide this up a tone to F major. So you go from the 6th fret. I always get muddled up with numbers on frets. I'm terrible. 6th fret. Slide up to the F on the 8th. And back down. And you do that twice, and then you have to change the way you play the chords to this. John just likes to make it difficult. I'm sure one day he thought, people are going to want to learn this, so I'm going to make it really hard on their fingers, especially if they're playing on an acoustic. The git. Anyway, so yeah, you've done this. Oh, that's where it switches over to the plectrum, everybody. Oh, sorry, I forgot to mention that. So after the switch over to the plectrum, and you do that twice, and then you go to this, you gotta go to this shape because you need to get the high E string note, you need to get this B flat note in. And then you need to get the C note in on the high E as well. So you need to change to this shape, which is kind of like a standard power chord shape really, again, but like using all your fingers this time. So first finger on the 6th fret, middle finger, ring finger, little finger on the 8th fret on the G, B and E. And then you want your little finger barring the B flat note on your high E. So, and you want to kind of pick out that high E string note. Kind of upstroke. And he does that for another 3 times. It happens another 3 times. And it can be quite hard on your hand, that. So just be aware, if it starts to hurt, stop and take a break and come back to it another time. Or play it on an electric guitar, don't play it on acoustic. Like I say, I'm using acoustic because that's what John originally recorded this on, so I just thought it was kind of right. But like I say, so originally coming out of, where are we? Switch over to the plectrum. Once. This is twice, change. This is the last time. Then you play it once. And then you stop there. And that's the end of part 2, so to say. So that's part 2. It's just those chords. And I say you can add in this extra note here if you want. John doesn't actually do that, but I quite like the way it sounds. And it sounds almost like it's in there. I don't know if he actually does it. I don't know. I can hear something like that. It could be just with backwards guitar going over the top, but we'll talk about that later. So that's part one. Part two. So let's move on to part three now, which is starting to stretch your hand a bit more. Okay, so part three is quite difficult to get into. It's quite weird. You've got the best advice I can give you here is kind of really listen to the track and how he kind of transitions, because what he does is this. It's a bit of a quick change, and as you can see, it's a bit of a mad chord we've got going on here. I've seen people do it down here on YouTube, but it doesn't have the right tonality at all. If you listen to what John's doing, and also in a minute you're going to have to get this B flat note, and if you're down here, there's no way you can do it. So and the tonality doesn't sound right when you're playing it down. It's too deep. So the next chord, part three of Untitled number 2, is this. So first finger wants to be on the 5th fret on your D, and your middle finger wants to be on the high E string on the 6th fret, and your little finger wants to be on the 8th fret on the B. And you want to be going D string, and then playing the B and then high E strings kind of quick together as you can. So and what John does, he just walks the bass note really. So he goes and then moves it up to the A string 5th fret. So that's part three, and that is coming out from this chord and then going into that is not an easy transition to do. That'll take some time to get your hand used to it, and it puts a lot of strain on your wrist and your hand as well, because it's such a kind of like a stretch chord, and there's a lot of pressure on your thumb, so it's pushing your thumb a lot. So just be aware, like I say, if it starts to hurt, go away, leave it for a bit, come back to it in a bit, just let your hand kind of recuperate, so to say. So whole thing of Untitled number 2 so far is this. Part 1, part 2. Part 2, kind of movement 2, if you will, with a high E string. Last time. Then you end up on that G note, the 5th fret on your D string, to stop that part 3. So and that's the transition. And like I say, it is a hard transition to do from part 2 to part 3. It really is kind of like difficult. Okay, so part 4 now, and this is where your hand is going to get a workout, everybody. Get ready for this one. Limber up. Come on, lads. We need to do this. Okay, so part 4 is this. As you can see, it is a finger workout, this one. It would actually be quite good as not as an immediate warm up if you're doing a gig, but kind of after you kind of like, you know, your fingers are starting to warm up, like before you play a gig or something. It'd be quite a cool thing to do because it's quite fiddly. So let's say part 4. This is the first chord we want. So ring finger and little finger want to be on the 8th fret on the G and B, and your first finger wants to be on the high E on the 6th fret. And what you're doing is not too dissimilar to part 3. What you're doing is you're playing G string first, and then you're playing your B and your high E afterwards, kind of in quick succession. So B, G, B and E, G, B and E. So that's the first chord. Next chord, this is quite difficult to get to, is this. So first finger now wants to be on the 5th fret on the D, and then you want your middle finger on the high E on the 6th, and then you want your little finger on the 8th fret on the B string. And again, it's the same thing again. So you're playing this note first, and then them two on the B and the high E. And then what we're doing for the third chord is we're moving again. So first finger now is on the high E string on the 6th fret. Ring finger is now on the 8th fret on the D string, and little finger is still in the same place on the 8th fret on the B. So you're going from that one to that one. So all in all, it's this chord, then this one, and then this one, and then back to the second one. Like I said, I have heard people doing it down here. I think it's, where is it? But it's not got the right tonality. And I'll say you need to be able to get to this low B flat note in a sec. And there's just no way you could play that shape. And you'd have to do the J key Lee thing and use your thumb. And it's just really awkward. So it's definitely playing it here. So this goes round once, so really slow. Then the second time you do this again. But instead of going to this note here on the 8th fret on your D string, you actually go to your low E string on the 6th fret. So it goes, and you move your first finger or your thumb. I use my first finger. It just feels more comfortable to use my first finger and leave the thumb behind the neck. So you're going from that G note on the 5th fret on your D string to your B flat note, which is 6th fret on your low E. Like that. And then back to you. So the whole thing of part 4 so far, really slow, is this. Easy, Dave. Nearly made a mistake there. Could you spot it? Okay, so that's part 4, so to say, and there are variations in this, and I'll talk about the variations now. Okay, so most of these Untitles, John said he was just improvising, and you can kind of hear it in here because he changes a slight thing. First time he does this, he goes. Easy. And then he stops, and next time around he does this. Oh, good gravy, Dave. That variation there, and it's just hopping octaves basically. So if it's a G, so you want to be playing that is. So it's first finger on the 5th fret on your D string, and then your little finger on the 8th fret on the B string. And that only happens the first time around from that point on. So the first time you play this, it's just straight. Second time, he does that as a, well, Well, it's like a rhythmic variation basically, and then he does that 3 times. So it's once just straight without the, and then it's twice with that. If that makes any sense. And then on the 4th time, and this is where you can just do what you want with what I'm about to show you, because John's doing basically what he wants at this point before he does this twice more before kind of like you get to the end part of Untitled number 2, is he does this. And basically what he does is, instead of fretting the G note on the D string on the 5th fret, he just goes to the open G string, and he's just taking that shape and he's moving it up to the 8th and the 10th and the 9th and the 11th, and he's just messing around there, and it's almost like he kind of was going like he wanted to go somewhere else with this. So he had this. Then it's like, I want to change it. And he's just messing around there, basically. So that's the kind of point where I'm just going to leave that open to you. You can listen to the track. I mean, it's just those 3 kind of shapes, so to say, and droning the G string. He doesn't really do anything different there. And you can do what he does on the track, but it's actually really fun just to kind of mess around with that bit. And it also gives your fingers a bit of a rest, because it's not so taxing from kind of keeping these shapes on. So yeah, like I say, so the whole thing of part 4 is this so far. I'll try and play it without making mistakes this time, eh? Variation. Oh, sorry, I've gone wrong, but that's where you go to the low B. Sorry, you do that one 3 times, twice with the variation, with that, and then on the 4th time you go. And into the kind of weird diminished kind of thing, and you can just kind of mess around there. And once you're done with that, you go back into this again, with a variation. And you do that another 2 times, and then you stop. And he does this kind of like weird little solo-y thing. The backwards guitar keeps going, and he's kind of doing this kind of this acoustic guitar solo thing. But after that, he comes back into playing chords maybe about 4 or 5 seconds, give or take. He comes back into playing chords, and I'll show you what they are now. And then I'll play the whole thing through, hopefully without mistakes. And then I'll do it really slow all the way through, and hopefully you can kind of like, you know, and that'll be Untitled number 2, everyone. Okay, so after that bit, John is almost now coming into a different song, and it's very strange. There's so many ideas in the Untitled, I think, that he just kind of was kind of like just, well, he's just improvising and winging it mainly. So after that kind of part 4, you get part 5, which is kind of this. So it's an F major chord, and he's just messing around here. So he's kind of F major, then go to A minor, then back to F, then you go to B flat major, and then to G major, B flat major, G major, B flat major, F major, and then you get into this bit, which is extremely John Frusciante, which is C major, G major, D minor, and A minor, and that's where it ends. And that's it. It actually cuts off there, but that's all of Untitled number 2, everybody. So I'll say that end bit, just in case you don't know, I'll run it. So F major is, I use my thumb on the 1st fret on the low E, ring finger wants to be on the 5th fret on the A. Little finger wants to be on the 5th fret on D. Middle finger wants to be on the 2nd fret on the G. And I use my first finger to bar the B and high E strings on the 1st fret. So that's F. A minor is kind of the same, but we're not using the middle finger. Thumb on the 5th fret on the low E. Ring finger on the 7th fret on the A, little finger 7th fret D, and then first finger barring the G, B and E strings on the 5th. So middle finger is totally not used in this chord. So that's F major and A minor, and you go back to F and then A, so you do that twice, and then you go to the same shape as the F on the 6th fret, which is B flat major. And then you go to your 3rd fret with that shape, which is a G major. And then back to the B flat, and then the G. And then back to B flat one more time, so that happens twice. Then the 3rd time it's B flat, and then to the F. And then you stop. And then you go into C major, which is... Well, John would play like this. First finger on the 3rd fret on the A, and then use your ring finger to bar the G, B and E strings on the 5th. And then G, which you already know. And then it's D minor, which is first finger on the 5th fret, ring finger wants to be on the 7th fret on the D string. Little finger wants to be on the 7th fret on the G string, and your middle finger wants to be on the B string on the 6th fret. And you don't play your high E string here, or your low E string for that matter, 'cause it sounds like this. And that's not cool. And then you go to your A minor again, which you know. And I say the rhythm of that is... And you play it twice. You just end on your A. And that is Untitled number 2, everybody. So yeah, I'm going to play it through now in its entirety. I'll do it slower than it normally is, just so you kind of you can get an idea. Okay, so let's do that. Wait for the mistakes. Last time for this. Part 2. Part 3, and then part 4, part 4 with variation. Last time. Oh, and you end up, yeah. Sorry, part 4, you go to that low G string to end on. And then part 5. There we go, mistakes and all. So that's Untitled number 12. I wonder what Untitled this one's from. Yes, Untitled number 3, the next one along. It's interesting to kind of like note, actually, kind of like when you learn some of these Untitles, you can hear the next Untitled in the line sometimes. His ideas are kind of like, you can tell it was kind of recorded linearly. That's not even a word, but yeah, along the thing. Anyway, yes, that's the main parts of Untitled number 2, everybody. It's really cool to play in its entirety. Everyone normally just plays that bit, which is really nice, but like, I mean, that bit is, I love that bit. I mean, it's really difficult, and you can kind of get lost in it. You can kind of muddle your head up, so to say, a little bit. It's kind of like, you know, a bit of a finger exercise, so to say. But it's really cool part, and it's really cool to learn, and it's good to kind of like get your finger dexterity going. So I'm going to quickly talk now about losing my voice. I'm not going to talk about losing my voice because that's just not appropriate in this video. That's a different video. But anyway, yeah, I'm going to talk about how to get a backwards guitar part over that intro bit, over that bit, and how to kind of do that. So let's go there now. Okay, so you really want electric for the loop a bit. You can kind of do a loop on an acoustic if you've got, like, you know, if you're playing your acoustic and you're looping that. But it's an electric guitar, the backwards guitar solo in the background of Untitled number 2, so you kind of want it. I don't know if it's his Jaguar or his Strat. It could even be his Les Paul. We'll never know. It sounds like it's straight into his little 4-track guy. It doesn't sound like it's kind of through an amp or anything. It just sounds like it's direct in. But I could be totally wrong in that. But anyway, the whole intro bit comes out of the key of A minor, or C major if you want to be relative major, but it's A minor really. You want to think about A minor pentatonics. So the 5 positions of you are kind of like A minor. So let's turn the reverb off a sec. So you got your A minor, and you got your C major, then you got next position, next one, and so on and so forth. If you know your 5 positions of your pentatonic scale, all those notes that come out of that scale, or just the A minor shape, will work send backwards. If that makes any sense, this is going to be quite hard to explain, but I've got my line 6 delay model set up for a looper right now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to record something on the A minor pentatonic in its 3rd position down here. So it starts on the 17th fret on the low E. So that's the pentatonic scale we're going to use to create a loop over this bit. So that bit, that's what we're going to use. So let me record it, and I'll show you me recording it, and then I'll show you how it kind of plays over the top. Okay, so 3rd position minor pentatonic A. So set to loop. Going to start with bending up the 17, 18, 19, 20th fret. recording. Send it backwards. And then if I play Untitled number 2, it should fit. So that's just using the A minor pentatonic scale shape. I'm not doing anything other than that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to record another one and let you see the notes I'm playing. Oh, and also it's important to note is a neck pickup on the guitar you've got. It doesn't really matter what guitar it is really, just as long as it's, you know, it's got a neck pickup and not a Les Paul Junior. Because bridge pickup is a little bit too harsh. It needs to be kind of nice and warm sounding. I suppose you could do a Les Paul Junior, you could roll the tone off. But anyway. So, yeah, so these, again, I'm not going to use anything but those notes there for this. So, I'm going to hit record. I'm going to start on the 7th, oh, no, actually, I'll start again on the, where are we? 20th fret. Let's start on the 20th fret now on the B string. That's about enough. You don't need hours and hours of recording. You just need a couple of seconds. Now, so then you just send it backwards. Nice. Okay, so we've got a nice little lead in here. So, and then you press play as soon as you start playing on the looper. Cool thing is, because your loop is totally out of time with what you're playing, it will sound different every time around. Like for instance, like if I start that again, if I click play immediately as I start playing, the next time you hear this, it'll fall. The loop will fall in a different way. The notes of the loop will fall into a different way. So. This time. And again, we tone different again. And that's only a couple of seconds of a loop. It doesn't need to be massively long, and it sounds different every time, just because it's so short and it's kind of like random, so to say. So you can do long loops as well, and you can kind of like, you know, move them down the fretboard and whatnot. But anything you play in A minor and have the ability to send backwards with your loop pedal, Ditto Looper X2 has the ability to do that. The Line 6 delay model has the ability to send things backwards as well. Anything, if you haven't got a loop of it, unfortunately won't send things backwards. That's going to be, you know, unfortunately you won't be able to do it. But you can always do a forward solo over it. I mean, this is the solo forward over the top. Granted, it's not as interesting as reverse, but you know, it's still doable. I think loopers are the like one of the number one essentials for a guitarist. But anyway, so that's how you can kind of like do a backwards guitar loop over that beginning section. You can't do it over the rest because it changes key. It just sounds awful if you kind of start doing it over. It does sound nasty because it's a different key altogether. So, okay, so I hope you enjoyed this video on how to play Untitled number 2. It's an absolute beast of a track to play front to back. It really is. It's a real left hand workout. It really does, like, you know, you feel it a lot in your thumb and your fingertips, especially on that kind of, like, you know, at part 4 it's really difficult. Part 5 is just a nice little ending. It's just kind of like, oh, made it. It's kind of like that. But it's a really, really cool Untitled number 2. It's one of my favourite Untitled's. But yeah, anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video on Untitled number 2. I hope that makes sense about the whole backwards looping thing. I say, just using A minor pentatonic, because the song comes out of that key, any note you play out of that key will work forwards or backwards, and it doesn't have to be in time. You don't have to have it to a click. It just, you want that kind of random notes falling in here and there and everywhere, because it creates, you know, difference. And you heard like how it falls different every time. And you can alter that by how fast you play this. And yeah, you can speed it up, slow it down, and the notes will fall differently every time. But because they're backwards, they don't need to fall perfectly to your time. They're in their own time, and they've got their own rhythm. So I hope that makes sense. Giving away all my secrets now. It's not really a secret, is it? Anyway, yeah, anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it's been informative. I always do my best. And yeah, I'll see you again for another one very, very soon. Goodbye now. How about one more? Okie dokie, so quickly, and why not, let's learn Untitled number 11, as this is a lot simpler than Untitled number 2. So, Untitled number 11 is one of the most gorgeous chord progressions ever. So, the chords are A minor, B flat major. Oh, I wonder where I've heard that progression before. You see what I mean? Everything kind of comes around again on these Untitled. It's incredible. So A minor, B flat major, D minor, F major, C major, G minor, D minor. So that's the first part. So you got an A minor, B flat major, D minor, F major, C major, G minor, D minor. And that happens twice, so it's C major, B flat major, D minor, and I connect you with a shadow that is G major, D minor, F major, D minor, G major, D minor, F major, and end up on D minor. Okay, so the whole thing is this. Untitled number 11, everybody. Simple chords, just a lovely, 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 lovely progression. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you again very soon for another one. Yes, have a great one. Goodbye now.